Today on the farm, Mercer and I are heading into the wood shop to put the final touches on a table I started for a client. It's probably been 3.5 months ago. I've been filming it as I put it together. I do a little bit here and there in my quote spare time, which is not very often, but I've been working on this table for the client since about the time we started planting the crop, and it's finally done. So we're going in here to finish putting it together and get it ready to go. So what I'm doing now is I'm making legs for the table. These boards came into my shop looking like this, and I run them through my planer and they come out looking like these here. And so that's really too thin for the leg I want, so I'm laminating them up to make a thicker stock. When you have two glued surfaces, they tend to want to float like that on each other. So I'm going to stack all these up and I'm going to clamp them where they can't move side to side. And then I'm going to apply my downforce and clamp them up tight so that we get good glue joints. Okay, they've been clamped for 24 hours now, so I'm going to unclamp them, get them ready to turn them into legs. This is a joiner, and what it's going to do is it's going to take this ugly glue line, it's maybe a little bit uneven, the two boards, and you got all this rough glue line. It's going to make it nice and smooth, so we have a good straight edge. I've got my 4 leg blanks made now. They're all laminated up. Each one of these blanks is made out of 4 separate boards that I've glued together. You can see the 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now that I've got them laminated up, I'm going to rip them down to a narrower width, and then I'm going to taper them. This is a door that I cut down that was in a barn of the client's old family, a barn that was in his family. And we're gonna make the tabletop out of this door. So I can't run it through the planer, it's got these old nails in it, and I could pull them nails out and plane each board separate. Those nails are on the board what's holding the door together. That's what's holding all this tongue and groove heart pine together. So I could take this off, plane each one of these boards, and then rejoin them. But I'm trying to preserve as much of the original work as possible. So they say, hey, this was definitely the door off our barn. I want to keep it where it's very obvious this come from their barn, this was a door, and preserve as much of the history as possible. So we're going to leave those nails in there. We're going to leave this thing whole. I've already chopped length off of it and narrowed it up a little bit to make it a coffee table dimension. We're going to hit it with some sandpaper and get this old off of it and make it look a little bit fresher. This is my 4 tapered legs. On the inside they have a taper, and they are laid out at basically 38 long by 24 wide. So what I'm going to do is I have this lumber here, some more of this same heart pine. I'm going to slice it off at 38, 2 of them and 2 of them at 24, and we're going to build the skirts for the table. Y'all saw me sawing back and forth. Heart pine is extremely susceptible to tearing out. If you just chop saw that straight down, it would splinter the bottom of this board and render it useless. You would have to come back about 1 inch and try again. You can't just come in here and just manhandle it and chop it. Yes, you would cut the wood quickly, but it would splinter the entire bottom and we would waste a 1/2 inch of wood and have to make the cut again. So if you come in here and make slow cuts, a little bit more depth each time, it actually dramatically reduces the splintering. I'd say at least a 98% reduction of splintering. I do have a small amount of splintering to deal with now, but if we just manhandled and chopped it, that splintering would be all the way back to here, and we'd be doing it again. This is my 20-inch straight knife planer. We're about to run these boards through there, these old boards, and make them look like new money. Doing now is cutting the mortises where the apron will pass straight through these legs, and the leg is tapered, so it's very important that I get the flat side on the table and not the tapered side, because then my mortise line, the floor of my mortise will be crooked. So you have to make sure you have the non-tapered side down as I cut these mortises. tight enough that they'll stay together. That's what we're wanting. I want to get a good coating on all the inner surfaces here, and I'll put some on the board too, so all the surfaces are coated. I got my frame all like I want it, so now I'm going to start applying my finish. And the finish I'm going to use is a boiled linseed oil. This finish is going to help make this look like this table has always been here. I'm using this antique wood off of a barn from the client's family land. It's an old, over 100-year-old barn. And so I want this table like this over 100 years old, so it wouldn't be right to put a modern poly finish on it. So I'm going to put this boiled linseed oil, and it's going to make this table look like a really old antique table when I'm done. I like to apply my finish with socks. That's what I use. I love socks for finish applications. So I started working on this project back in early April for the client. He brought in a stack of boards that looked like this. And this is what we turned them into. Realistically, I could knock a table out like this in a week real easy if I had the time to do just that. But you know, I'm full-time farmer on my produce farm and my beef farm, and for my brother-in-law on his row crop farm. So time is not something I have very much of. But I do still build furniture. Some of y'all may know I've been building furniture here in this shop for over a decade. And prior to that, I used to live in Nashville, Tennessee and build guitars and furniture up there professionally for a brief period. The only time in my life when I wasn't on the farm, I was up there as a woodworker. But I'm still building stuff. It's just at a much slower pace now because of the amount of time we spend farming, but still cranking them out. This is what my typical style looks like. I use all reclaimed wood. I never, ever buy wood. All my wood comes from old barns and houses. I do have a sawmill, so I'll saw up trees sometimes, but I never, ever buy wood. All my wood locally sourced, either from a tree that I fell myself, or a hurricane knocked down, or a house or barn that is decaying or being torn down. Thank y'all for watching. See you next time.